So here's a short workout for you, ideal for beginners to improvers. Remember to always do what you can. Anything that doesn't feel right for you, take the lower options where possible, and reach out to us if you need any assistance with your workout. Okay. So we're just going to start off in our good posture, making sure the legs and the feet are together. We're going to turn out those toes and bring the heels in line with the toes. So the toes are forwards and the heels are in line with them. Legs are directly underneath the hips. We're going to lift it nice and tall through the spine, tucking chin slightly to chest so we're long through the neck. And then we're going to draw the shoulders up, round and down. Shoulders relax down and away from your ears. A little bit of lift through your chest, so we're keeping the chest and shoulders open without pushing forward too far. And then we want to tuck under and find our neutral position. So we're just going to take a little knee bend, tilting the pelvis forward, so we're tucking under, and then tilting the pelvis back, so you're sticking your bottom out to the back. Just finding your own range of movement. And then we're making that smaller and smaller until we find that point that's right in the middle for you. So tailbone tuck, pelvis sits in the center. We're going to lengthen up through the legs, little squeeze into thighs, squeeze into bottom, and making sure we've got a natural arch in our foot. So all 5 toes and the outside of the foot are in contact with the floor. If you need to adjust the feet, just lifting all 5 toes and then carefully placing them back down. So again, all 5 toes and the outside of the foot in contact with the floor. Making sure our knees are soft. We're then going to focus on setting our core. So if you imagine lifting through pelvic floor as if you're drawing your inner thigh up towards pelvis. We're starting to zip up and lift through our center. Tummy pulls in about halfway to spine. And then if you tighten your waist, if you think about wearing a big belt around your middle, we're going to tighten that up a couple of notches. So we're zipped up, we're pulled in, we're tightening that waist. Bringing the arms by the side to relax again. We're going to take fingertips to the shoulders, and we're just going to take a gentle reach across and back to center. So as I mentioned earlier, do what feels right for you. Make the movement smaller if a big movement feels too hard. And I want you to really keep that connection through your tummy muscles. So we're pulling in, we're tightening that belt, and aim to keep pelvic floor lifted. Slowing down your breath, so we're breathing in through the nose, slowly out through the mouth. And those of you who feel you can, we're just going to speed this up slightly. So we're taking out that little pause in the middle and we're reaching from one side to the other. Now notice how my waist moves, but the hips are staying forward. So we get that little rotation through the upper body. Really tighten that belt, so we're getting those deeper muscles in the waist, in the tummy to kick in. Think length through the spine, keep it nice and tall. We should still be tucked under with pelvis to neutral, little squeeze into bottom, little bit of fire through the thighs. Keep that breath flowing. Okay, 4 more here. And then release, just relaxing the shoulders. We're going to bring it back to a similar position, but this time we're going to reach overhead, back to center, overhead, and back to center. If you can't reach overhead, if you have any neck or shoulder issues and that aggravates it, then we're going to take a reach down the side instead. So no overhead arms. Otherwise we reach, bring it to center, reach and bring it to center. Think about lengthening down the far side of the body. Lengthen and tighten that belt. Pulling in tummy halfway to spine, lifting through pelvic floor. Okay, so again, as we did earlier, we can take out that little pause, one side to the other. So we're really getting the waist to stretch and bend. Keeping the breath flowing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Keep it nice and tall through that spine. Keep lengthening through the body. Okay, 4 more. Keep tightening through that waist. And then release and relax the shoulders. We're going to take the arms overhead and we're going to pull the arms down and lift with the knee. We're going to stay with the right knee to start with. So you're keeping your body weight on that left leg. Squeeze into the left thigh, squeeze into the bottom on that left side, and then we lift with the right one. So you're literally just touching down with the foot, rather than shifting your body weight. When we take the body weight into that right foot, we get a little shift here. So we want to keep everything still and steady in the center. So we're pulling down, we're keeping back nice and tall. Keeping that tailbone tucked under, so we're staying in our neutral position. Each time we stretch the arms overhead, really think about tightening that tummy and tightening that belt. Really working deep into those muscles. Okay, optional add-on, and you may have to slow this down for balance. We come down to the thigh and we lift. Down to the thigh and we lift. So you're rounding off through the spine, bringing the chest towards the thigh. Nice and tall at the top, and as you come to the top, think about that neutral position. Make sure you're tucking under. Readjust that each time if you need to, especially if you're someone who has a deep arch in the lower back. Okay, just adding on from here, we're pulling down, we're taking the toe back. We're pulling down, taking the toe back. Round off, make that C shape, nice and tall through the spine. As we take that toe to the back, squeeze into bottom. We can take this one step further now by not taking the toe down. So we're going to find that balance, foot up and away from the floor, knee towards the chest and stretch it away. Knee to chest, stretch it away. Are we still pulling in with tummy? Lifting through pelvic floor. Maybe fix your eye gaze. Keep your eyes fixed on something that's nice and still. Focus that eye gaze. You can use a wall or a chair for assistance. One hand on the wall or the chair. And if you're having a wobble, just take the toe back down. Okay, we're going to aim for 4 more. Really pulling in with those tummy muscles. Having a wobble. And then release. Step it together, give those legs a good shake out. Take the legs back underneath the hips and we're just going to press through the feet. Releasing the legs, waking the muscles in the feet. Just get them moving. Okay, settle down, just reset good posture, neutral core, arms are coming back overhead, and then we're taking that knee lift and pull down with the left leg this time. So same as before, back nice and tall. As the arms come overhead, shoulders are down and away from the ears. Remember, if you can't reach overhead, just take it as far as you can. Just make the movement smaller. Just keeping that body weight through the right leg this time, squeezing into thigh, squeezing into bottom. Keeping your breath flowing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, taking that simple add-on, rounding off, lifting tall. Rounding off, lifting tall. Tucking under with that tailbone each time. Really squeeze it into your bottom. Each time we stretch overhead, tightening that belt up. Adding on that leg stretch to the back, so we round off, we take the leg back, little toe tap. Round off, take it back. Round off, take it back. Making that harder, taking the toe away from the floor and keeping it lifted. So we're still rounding off, taking that leg back. Take your time, find that balance, and really think about the deeper muscles that are working here. So we're tightening the tummy, we're lifting through pelvic floor. As we stretch that leg back, squeeze into bottom and thigh. Okay, 4 more here. Good, coming up nice and tall each time, really stretch it nice and long through the spine. And release. So you should get a bit of an ache through the leg that you're standing on as well, that supporting leg. Legs directly underneath the hips, and then we're pressing through the feet. Okay, so we're going to settle the feet back down, coming back into our good posture, standing nice and tall. We're going to take a step or a lunge, one leg and then the other. We can keep this really, really small. So it can be a little step, little knee bend. Just make sure for me chest stays lifted, back stays tall. Or we can make this bigger. We can make this a lunge and step back. Good. Really squeeze into the thighs. Arms can come in if you want to, otherwise hands can stay to the hips. Any knee problems, just making it smaller. So we're working through legs, we're thinking about that posture, but we still want to be pulling in, engaging through the deeper tummy and back muscles, those muscles of our core. Lifting through pelvic floor. Tightening tummy halfway to spine. Think about that belt around your middle, staying nice and tight. Okay, we're going to go with 4 more. On that last one, we're going to finish it out here. So we're finishing here. We're going to take the hands to the hips. We're going to lengthen the legs and bend back into that lunge. Lift and come back. So again, you can keep this as a really small knee bend. You can take it deeper so the back knee comes towards the floor for more for your full lunge. Think about really tucking under with that tailbone. Tuck under with that bottom. Get that lower tummy to work. And then we lower and lift from here. Good. Keep your breath flowing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, now we're going to take it down for 3, 2, 1, and we're going to lift it up. So little pulse, 3, 2, 1, push it up. Make sure the foot in front is on the floor, all 5 toes on the outside of the foot. No rolling onto the outside or the inside of the foot. Good, little bounce, and then stretch and lift. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. One more. 3, 2, 1, stretch it up slowly. Step it together. Shake out those legs. Well done. Okay, so we're just going to come back to our step or lunge, alternate legs. Just get those legs moving again. Catching your breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, making this a bigger lunge if you wanted to. Listen to your body, do what feels right for you today. So again, think about those deeper muscles we're working, lifting pelvic floor, tightening that tummy, tightening that belt around your middle. Keeping your spine nice and tall and your chest lifted. We don't want to be leaning forward or leaning back. Good. Optional arms floating up to shoulder height. Remember, you're changing the leading leg each time. Okay, couple more. And we're going to finish with the other leg in front this time. So the other leg comes forward, so into that lunge. Hands to hips. We're going to come down into the lunge, lift into the top. Down into that lunge, lift into the top. Ground that foot in front, all 5 toes on the outside of the foot in contact with the floor. Good. Keep it nice and strong. Press through the feet, draw up through the thighs, squeeze into bottom. Okay, we're going to go down for 3, so little pulse. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. And remember, this can be small. Doesn't have to be a big lunge, it can be a small knee bend. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. 3, 2, 1, lift it up. Last 2. 2, 1, lift it up, one more, whoop. Up slowly on that next one, step it together, give those legs a good shake out, let them release. So we're going to take 3 roll downs through the spine just to get us moving through the spine and down to the floor. We're going to come back into good posture, tucking under to neutral. Arms are going to stretch up and overhead. The arms come down. Chin towards the chest, shoulders roll forwards. Working down through the spine, backbone by backbone. Coming as low as you feel you can. Little stretch at the bottom. Lengthen the legs out, feel that stretch at the back of the thigh. Catching your breath, breathing deeply. When you're ready, zip up. Lift the pelvic floor, tighten the core, and stack up through the spine, backbone by backbone. We stretch out at the top, making sure we're still tucked under to neutral. We set through our tummy muscles, through our pelvic floor muscles. Arms come down. So think about really making that nice C shape as we roll down. If you're tight in the lower back or the back of the thighs, we can bend into the knees a little bit more, make it easier. Take your time, take it as low as you can. You don't have to come as low as me. Let the head, the shoulders, the arms relax. Reset and stack it up, take your time. About halfway up, you want to be tucking under with that tailbone. So as we unravel the rest of the spine, we're stacking one backbone on top of the other. Tool at the top, we're going to take one more, bringing us down to the floor. Coming all the way down, knees to the mat. We're going to sit back, bottom towards the heels, stretching forward with the arms, let your spine lengthen. Draw the shoulders down and away from your ears. A few nice deep breaths here, just let you catch your breath, slow it down. Okay, we're going to come around onto our back. And we're going to work with both knees in towards our chest. I want you to tuck under with your bottom, so your lower back lightly presses into your mat. You're in your neutral, like we did when we were standing. Head is relaxed. You're welcome to use a block or a rolled up towel underneath your head. Encourage that chin to tuck slightly to chest. We're going to hug the legs in towards us. Now you can do this with your head down, or we can curl up into a C curve. Nose towards the knees. We're going to stretch away with one leg and hug in with the other. Now you want to aim out about mid-height. So we're not going too low, we're not going too high. I want you to focus on pulling that tummy down towards the spine, pulling tummy in halfway. One breath per movement. So we breathe in, we breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. If the neck starts to pull or ache, or even lower back, we can take that head back down. Use a block or towel if you need it. If it feels too much in lower back, try taking the legs up slightly higher. With any of the options, any of the exercises where we're working with both legs lifted, you also have the option of keeping one foot on the floor, and you can do that exercise on the one leg and then swap and do it on the other side. So really gentle option if you need it. Otherwise, most of you will be okay with both legs lifted. We're paying attention to what's happening through the lower back. We're guiding in with tummy halfway to spine. If your tummy won't pull in, rest. Do a little bit more. So we're going to work to fatigue. Work to that point where you're feeling that intense ache or burn through the muscles. So with this one, it will be tummy, it might be thighs and hips. Whenever you need that rest, relax it down. Also watch out for lower back lifting and ribs trying to lift. If we can't control that, if we can't maintain that, we need to rest, reset, and then go again. Remember your breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. So if you like numbers, see if you can aim for 12 before you rest, or at least 12. If you still haven't hit fatigue, go beyond it. Keep account for yourself. Just resting when you need to, hugging the knees in towards the chest. If the lower back is pulling, take the feet down and just have a little hugging, one leg at a time. Okay, we're going to come onto our side. Propping up onto elbow and forearm. The arm is directly underneath the shoulder. The legs are tucked. Top leg can be straight if that's more comfortable, slightly harder. We're going to lift this waist. So we're starting to tighten through the waist, starting to push through the shoulder muscles in the arm. From here, we're going to lift and lower. Now you have a choice. We can lift and take the hip down each time. So you're getting a little bit of a breather in between. And you might find to start with, you only do 4, and then you need to come off of that shoulder for a little while and come back to it. That's fine, build it up that way. Those of you who are strong here, we're gonna lift, we're literally gonna dip the hip. Lift and dip the hip. Lift and dip the hip. Tighten the waist, release a little. Tighten and release, keeping that tummy drawn in. So feeling that work through the arm into shoulder. If you're doing that little dip, we should start to feel it deep into the waist, into the obliques. Keep lifting through pelvic floor, tightening that tummy. And when you can't do any more on that side, let's bring it into the center. Let the shoulders release and try it on the other side. So same setup, arm underneath the shoulder, little lift and tighten, press through the arm. We either lift and lower each time, which is slower, you get that little breather in between. Or we're gonna lift and dip, lift and dip. Just allowing the breath to flow, keeping that tummy drawn in. Good. Keep it going. Wait for it to kick in to the waist, into the shoulder. Lengthen down that top side of the body. So when we're doing that little dip and lift, we're almost trying to make a rainbow shape here to really get the waist to lift. If you want to do a little bit and rest and come back to it, please do. Okay, last few, work to fatigue. Sit it up. Find a comfortable seated position and take a few shoulder rolls. Just let your shoulders relax. Okay, we're going to come back round onto our back. Knees are back in towards the chest. We're tucking under with that tailbone. Legs are going to come long. Again, head can stay down or head can be lifted. So we're in that C shape, that scooped position. Reaching nice and high up the legs. We're going to let one leg lower and then lift. The other leg lowers and lift. You don't have to take this too low. Take it to a point where we're able to maintain that lower back position. So lower back stays in contact with the mat. Tummy stays pulled in halfway to spine. No strain or discomfort through the neck. We can work with head down if need be. Remember, as I said earlier, any of the exercises where both legs are lifted can be changed to take one foot down, and we just mimic that same exercise on one leg first, aim for 12, and then the other leg after. Okay, so working to fatigue. If you like those numbers, aim for 12. So at the moment we get that little pause here. We lower, we lift and pause. If you want to make that more challenging, we're going to go from one straight into the other. Reaching nice and high up the leg, so we're getting a good stretch at the back of the leg here. Keep the breath flowing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. You work to fatigue, do what you can, wait for the ankle burn to set in, or maybe back starts to lift or arch. And then we hug into rest, little rock side to side, come back and repeat. And if you've got more time, you can repeat this as many times as you want. Just pause the video and go for the exercise again. So just once more. Remember your options, so we can go one into the other. If it's too much on your back, little pause in between. You've got that option of taking one foot to the floor. Just be careful here that bottom doesn't lift, bottom stays down, that tailbone stays on your mat. Keep tightening that waist, pulling in with tummy. And resting when you need to, hugging those legs in one by one or both together. Okay, we're going to take one more exercise. So bring your feet to the floor, come around to all fours, arms under shoulders, legs underneath the hips. Make sure we're not dipped in the back, we're not too arched. Find that halfway point. So from here, we're going to press through the palms of the hands. If you're pushing the floor away from you, engage your tummy, engage your core. We're going to step it back to plank and then straight forward onto knees. Other leg comes back to plank and forward onto knees. So we're literally stepping back and back, forward and forward. As I'm stepping back and forward, you will see that my back, my bottom, my pelvis hardly move. We're just stepping back from that all fours position. If this feels too tough on your arms or on your back, we can just take this as a tap back, and you're going to focus on keeping that neutral position, keeping the spine long, keeping the tummy working, okay? Otherwise, I want to see you stepping back and then back onto the knees again. Really pressing through the arms so your back doesn't work on its own. We're using our arms, we're using our core, slowing your breath down. When you need a rest from this one, just sit it back so we're off of the wrist, off of the arms, and stretch it through. Go for that again, and I'll just show you a few more options. So we're stepping backwards and forwards. If you want more challenge, we can step it back and we can hold. Hold it out there. Tuck that bottom under, squeeze with those muscles. When you need that rest, knees come down. If it starts to get too much on the wrists, we can start with our tummy flat on the floor, onto elbows and forearms, and we're just going to literally lift your hips and your tummy away from the floor. Tuck under with your bottom so your back is long. We're not dipped here, we're tucking under, and you're here pressing through the forearms. If that feels okay, we can tuck the toes under, so you're on the toes and the balls of the feet, and we can lift the knees and hold. Breathe in here, knees come down, gently lower to release. And you can sit back into that stretch at any point if you want to. Those of you who are in plank in the full version, you want to make this harder still, we come back to plank, set up, tummy, pelvic floor, squeeze into bottom, tuck that tailbone under, and we're going to bring knee towards chest. So again, you can see that my back and my bottom hardly move. We want to keep the core working. Deep, full breaths. Keep drawing that tummy in towards spine. And when you need to break, knees come down. We sit back and stretch. We're going to go for one more, or keep it going if you're still going. And then we're going to wind down into a stretch. So you've still got your lower options, stepping backwards and forwards, holding that plank, taking it a step further if you want to, adding in those hill climbers. And then resting down when you need that rest. Once you are there, we're going to sit back into child's pose, reaching forward with the arms. If you want to, you can tuck the arms by your side, let the head come down to the mat. A few nice deep breaths, releasing the muscles. Bringing the hands forward, coming forward to all fours. Taking the hands slightly further forward so they're just in front of the shoulders, tuck the toes, and we're going to press back, bottom high, lengthen through the legs, lengthen through the spine, easing those heels down towards the mat for that lower leg stretch. Readjust the hands if you're sliding. Okay, bringing the knees to the floor, come around onto your back. We're going to hug in with the right leg. Extend that leg up as fully as you can from there. Slowing your breath down. For more, we can flex that foot. We can walk the hands up towards the top of the leg, lifting head and shoulders gently up if that's comfortable for you. Release the foot and stretch long with the other leg again if that's good for you. If not, keep the foot on the floor. Breathe and ease that leg back towards you so we're feeling that stretch in the back of the leg. Take that left foot down, right foot down, lower the head and then swap. So we hug in, we extend up. Flexing the foot and walking the hands up towards the top of the leg for more. Relaxing the foot and stretching long with that right leg. Hold. Breathing, easing that leg back. Taking the feet to the floor. You can keep feet on the floor here, or if it's comfortable, knees come back in towards chest, tuck under with that tailbone. We're taking the knees over to the right side, all the way down, as close to the floor as you can. And if this feels a little bit tough, you can use a cushion or a towel underneath the leg. For more, we can lift that top knee up, opposite hand to the outside of that leg, gently pressing down. Feel that stretch increase, lower back, bottom and thigh. A few nice deep breaths. Bringing the legs back together, tighten through tummy, take it up, and then over to the other side. Let the legs settle, take your time. For more, top knee up towards chest, opposite hand to the outside of that leg, gently pressing down. And then bringing the legs back together, coming back into the center, both feet to the floor, come around onto all fours. We're going to step forward with one leg and then we're going to push forward. So you're pushing your hips and your bottom forward to feel that stretch in the leg at the back. Hands can come to thigh or fingertips to the floor, but keep tucking that tailbone under. Feel that stretch. Take the hands to the floor to carefully come back and swap it over. Again, nice and tall. Pushing forward, feeling that stretch in this hip. Hands to the knee. Make sure your knee is in line with the ankle, or you can take fingertips to the floor. Remember, you can still use a wall or a chair for balance if you want to. Okay, from here, hands down, carefully step up onto your feet, find your balance, legs hip distance apart, and we're going to roll it up through the spine. Taking your time, tucking that tailbone under, rounding off. Take a little stretch overhead. If it feels good for you, we can take a little back extension. Let the ribs open. And then release, bring it back to good posture. Release the arms, hands to lower back. Lift the chest, squeeze between shoulder blades. Or we can interlock the fingers and squeeze and lift. Let that relax. Shoulder rolls, let the shoulders release and bring it back into your good posture. As we did at the start, toes are forwards, legs are underneath hips, lifting tall, tucking under with that tailbone, zipping up, using that core one last time. We're going to take a breath in and breathing out. Again, breath in and breathing out. One more breath in and releasing that breath. Roll the shoulders and give yourselves a clap. Well done. I hope you enjoyed that video. I will see you in the next workout.